Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Chalk Talk here in the DK Pittsburgh Sports Steelers YouTube channel. Chris Halicke here. We're coming back with Aaron Rodgers. Almost done. Week 16 now. Jets versus Rams. This ended up being a 19-9 loss for the Jets. Started off really strong. Bad finish. Completely shut out in the second half. And the offense, as we're going to see through the film, just completely lost its rhythm. Rodgers, for his stats on the game, he went 28 of 42 for 256 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions, a passer rating of 91, sacked one time, and ESPN QBR of 38, which is pretty low. PFF not that much better. They gave him a grade of 53.2, a passing grade of 55.1, and then one of the reasons why they also have fumbling grades, and he did lose a fumble, so he got a 30 grade there, but they credited him with one big-time throw, one turnover-worthy play, which I didn't really see in this game, like where I was like, oh yeah, that should have been intercepted, or unless you want to count the fumble, which then, then there you go. It is a turnover-worthy play, so maybe that's it. 3 drops. There were a couple of big drops in this game. And before I even get into this, I want to say this was probably the offensive line's best game of the season in terms of pass protection. I've been really hard on them all season long, but I'm going to give them credit here. They played really well in this game, and the one sack was not their fault. This was a very, very good game for the offensive line, and Rodgers took advantage of it early. And again, first pass of the game, they do something to get Rodgers into rhythm. I like it. They do this play action, come over immediately. You just get this little layered throw over, and just right there. Easy peasy, get 12 yards. Again, really like to see a nice rhythm throw to start the game. Helps the quarterback get into a rhythm. Rams obviously expecting run, so they sell out. You get just a nice little throw there over the top. It works right on the money. 12 yards. Great way to start the game. Great way to start. The one thing that this offense was doing really well early on was, again, the quick game was working. Rodgers was working in rhythm. The receivers were running crisp routes. There was one draw by Lazard earlier in the game. I didn't handcuff them or anything. They played really well. Their first drive, I think this is their first drive if I'm not mistaken. But their first drive, yeah, it is, because their first drive, they go down. It was a 99-yard drive. They went 14 plays, 99 yards, and capped it off with a touchdown, and we'll get into that here in a second. But the one thing that the protection really did, and you can see it here, nice, crisp, clean pocket there. The one thing that it did was it allowed Rodgers to either make on-time throws, or even whenever he didn't hit his first read, he had time. And then he was able to then improvise, move out of the pocket if he wanted to, because, again, we're starting to see Rodgers feel a little bit better. And so he comes out, and, again, tight end does a good job here of being able to move out into space here. And, yeah, this is just good stuff. Good stuff here from the offensive line, from Rodgers. Again, when you can see this nice pocket right there, and it stays intact. Rodgers is able to stay within the pocket, break the play down, and then, okay, nothing's happening, then I can get out, I can try to make a play, and that's what ended up happening. Tight end does a good job of, not just, normally if you're in zone coverage, you want to try to sit down right there, but he does a good job of, when he sees Rodgers go, he runs in that same direction, making sure that he gets open too. And then Rodgers identifies it, makes a nice throw. That's not an easy throw. Again, you're throwing on the run, and you're not throwing in that direction where it's a little easier to do. You're almost kind of throwing against your body when it's going straight down like that. So just a really good job here of making that throw, putting it on the tight end, Just good stuff here. All right, this play here, I'm going to do my best to not get geeked out. I love good quarterback play. This is Aaron Rodgers' best throw of the season. Bar none. He's had some really great throws that we've seen over the course of this entire series. This is by far the best one. And I don't think it's going to be surpassed in the final couple of games. Here we go. We go play action fake. We'll see it from the end zone view, but I've broke this play down before. If you saw my initial chalk talk on Aaron Rodgers, this is textbook play action fake here. Hiding the ball, the extension of the arm right there. Just a really, really great job of selling the handoff. And then once he rolls out, he gets to the point here of throwing the football. There's not really anybody open. Yeah, you got Devontae Adams there, but you have these, underneath defenders right here that you would then, if you're going to make that throw, would have to layer it over the top if you have any possible chance whatsoever. And off platform, that's exactly what he does. Puts it over the top, puts it up where only his receiver can get it. It's a ridiculous throw. This is, for anybody who looks at that and thinks that that's some sort of routine throw that majority of quarterbacks can make in today's NFL, you're sadly mistaken. This is not a normal throw. Really quick to get into that play action fake right here. Again, you get this where you hide the ball in the left hand there so that you can put your right hand in, and then you get the extension with this hand. So it looks like, that's a terrible arrow, by the way. I'm using this with my finger. I'm recording this in Atlanta because I'm in Atlanta covering the MLB All-Star Week, and I left my stylus that I use at home, so I'm using my finger. So the art here is going to be a little a little tricky. But that extension right there, again, you're doing everything you can to sell run here, and then there are a couple of different ways quarterbacks can do that, but one way to do that that's the same across the board is hiding the football, because you want to make the defense think that you handed the ball off to the running back. And when you hide the ball like this, you can't see the ball. No way this guy can see the ball, or any of these guys here can see the ball, or this guy, or this guy. Nobody can see it, which, again, is going to make all those guys think that it's run until about right there you can kind of see it if you're this guy. The good thing is he's going to be rolling out that direction, so it doesn't really matter if this guy sees it because the chances of him making a play on it is pretty slim. And then, again, you get to the rollout here. He's at the 19 when he gets rid of this ball. Again, off platform. Look at where the ball comes out. Like, Rodgers is pretty much right at where the numbers are. This ends up going back across, so he actually throws this back against his body. You might not see that from the sideline angle. So for this ball to get from there to there, over the top, right on the money, like this, again, this is an insane throw. This is vintage Aaron Rodgers here. This is MVP level. What have we talked about when we talk about expectations for what Aaron Rodgers could do with the Steelers? What you would want for him to do more than anything at this stage of his career is be competent and then put the cape on 3, 4, maybe 5 times a game. This is an instance where he'd be putting the cape on. This is a Superman type throw. And I'm not just saying that because it results in a touchdown. It's the type of throw. It's going off platform from that spot against his body over the top so that, a defender's right there and it's put just high enough precision accuracy where the defender can't get it but his receiver can. Ridiculous throw from Aaron Rodgers. All right. Next play here. Let's see. What have we got? Again, the first read's not there. protection is pretty good. Nothing to really complain about, but again, a really great job of having that protection, and then Rodgers being able to use his mobility to step up, keep his eyes downfield, find the open target, which he does. Oh, so it's not that guy, it's right here. But either way, it's beyond the sticks, which is always what you want to do. And this is a 4th down, by the way, for those who can see. This is 4th down. So this is Rodgers doing a great job of stepping up, trying to find. And again, it's situational football, understanding you don't have to make this huge connection downfield, that you can just find the open guy that you know is beyond the sticks. This is something that was happening earlier in the game. The Jets, by the way, they were up 6-0 at this point, I believe. And because that touchdown that they scored, the kicker missed the extra point. But you have these situations where, it's understanding the situation you're in and executing to solve those issues. You're on 4th and short. You don't have to have a 20-yard completion. You can just throw it just beyond the sticks, move the chains. And that's what they were doing earlier in the game. That's why the Jets had drives of 8 minutes, 22 seconds. It had a drive like that early in the game. The Jets only had 3 possessions in the first half, and then this one right here, this was a drive that lasted 6 minutes, 22 seconds. So you had, drives of 8:22 and 6:22. I mean, just 2 drives alone, you're taking up more than your fair share of the time of possession. And that's phenomenal stuff. I mean, it's good football. And then, they get a field goal there, end up being 9-6 at halftime. This play, let's see, where are we at? I'm trying to remember. So there were 44 dropbacks. I'm not doing 44 dropbacks. Again, this is one of the times where things break down. But again, I put this in here because I wanted to show, just again, Rodgers is feeling better. He's getting stronger as the season is going, despite having come off the Achilles injury from the season before, with dealing with a number of injuries throughout the season, including hamstring, including an ankle, and I think in this game he also suffers a knee injury. So again, it's this ability to avoid pressure, roll out, keep eyes downfield, find your target. Or a target, make a throw, move the chains. Again, this is this is good quarterbacking. This is beyond competent stuff. This is what happens whenever things break down and you have to get out of structure. Protection at first is pretty decent. This guy gets barreled over, though. So, at some point when you see that and you see this guy, right there, that means you're going to have to move at some point. Tackles are closing in on him. Not really much else he can do. So again, it's get downfield. You can see him trying to communicate possibly with this guy. But again, he keeps eyes. He sees Breece Hall. He also sees Garrett Wilson, who you can't see in the screen yet, who's down there. And he just makes a really good throw on the run. Catch, completion, first down. Move the chains. This is the kind of stuff that we saw. Again, they were in rhythm. We're now into the second half. This first drive, they go 14 plays and take 9 minutes and 45 seconds off the clock. They are just dominating time. They had more than half of the. They had more time of possession in the first half. Had the ball for more than half the time in the first half. Then this is they get the ball to start the second half, and then they take up nearly 10 minutes of time on that first drive. They are just dominating with a 3-point lead against a good Rams team, And, then you can start to see, don't know what happens. That, we'll get into it in a second, but that touchdown pass to Davante Adams earlier was touchdown pass number 499 for Aaron Rodgers in his career. And at a certain point, I feel like Rodgers starts playing outside of what the game plan is and starts trying to go rogue a little too much. And this is where he would have to be reined in. Maybe a better coaching staff would do it. Who knows? But here, though, you can see it's just this is where, I mean, we're now about midway through the third quarter at this point, and this is the first time we get any kind of. You can see it's an incompletion here to Conklin. It's thrown behind him. I'll get to the end zone view so you can see what happens. But this is the first time we start to see quarterback and receiver not on the same page. And this is not the first time it happens in the second half. This kind of plagues the team, plagues the offense throughout the second half, and it keeps them from. I mean, like I said, they don't score in the second half, and this is one of the big reasons why. Rodgers catches it, it's on time, back foot hits, gets the ball out. Obviously, is thinking that Conklin's running a hitch here. Conklin is running some sort of like this little stick. It's not a straight out route, but it's kind of this kind of turn around and kind of leak out. And, hence that, posture of going to the outside, but then you kind of open up. So it's not a straight hitch and it's not an out. It's this kind of turn around and then sit. Rodgers is obviously thinking he's running hitch. With where the stem of the route is, if he just turns around, right here, and put the X right there, even though the camera's going to move, just remember where that is. I mean, that's pretty much right where Conklin was when the ball gets there. So he obviously thinks he's just running just straight out, turn around, straight up pitch, and that's not what he runs. Not on the same page. It's not good. Here, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to forcing things, playing outside of maybe what the offense should be running. Here, this is straight up forcing the ball to Davante Adams. And whether, I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and try to do a whole bunch of homework on Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams talking about this, but knowing the context, seeing how this plays out, this is straight up predetermined. I'm throwing to Davante Adams. I got him one-on-one down here. I'm throwing it to him no matter what. This is fourth down, by the way. This is 4th and 4, I believe. Yes, 4th and 4. And, I mean, the Jets, first off, not kicking a field goal. So don't try to explain that to me. I'm not even going to try to come up with an answer for that, because you can go up by 6 if you kick a field goal. But man, so that's bad enough. Then on top of it, again, this is catch, immediately looking that direction. Don't look anywhere else right now. And it's just put it straight up. The throw's a little short. Needs to be a little bit more over the top. Give Adams a chance to have a little bit more separation. So it's not the best throw. It's also not the right decision, because Garrett Wilson's running this like little slant/drag, and he is just wide bleeping open. Like, come on, man. Like, this is predetermined. This is predetermined. I'm going to Davante Adams no matter what else is going on. And I understand, again, we've talked about the issues between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, how, Garrett Wilson's not the easiest guy to throw to when it comes to timing routes, stuff like that. That doesn't mean that you just straight up ignore him. And that was definitely starting to happen more and more, especially like last game. Remember, we went through that. Davante Adams had like 9 catches for 198 yards. Even then, you got to know, okay, this right here, even with Davante Adams' low percentage, it's 4th and 4. This is what we're talking about, situational football. You need 4 yards. You're on the 13. Get 5 or get 4 yards. Get 4.5 yards. You move the chains, you got 1st and goal. And I'm sorry, there's just no way that you should be throwing this. You throw this to Garrett Wilson right here, he can, quickly, he can turn up field, get the first down. Or if he catches it there, he might catch it there and run and shoot, man. With his athleticism and everything he can do after the catch, he might score. Instead, you predetermine to throw this down here. It ends up not being caught. You turn the ball over on downs. It's a bad decision. And it might be just because you wanted him to catch your 500th touchdown. And I'm saying might because I'm not going to speak for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know that for sure. But if that truly is the case, then that's terrible. You should not be doing that. Hey, boy. And again, this stuff just plagued the offense in the second half. By this point, the Rams had tied it up. So they got the ball after that long drive. The Jets don't get anything. They go down, take up 7.5 minutes of their 7.5 minutes of their own, kick a field goal. It's now tied. Jets are, trying to answer. It's third down. They had just missed a throw downfield to Davante Adams. Adams was open. Rodgers just barely overthrew him. Adams got a hand on it, but it was not a catchable football. And then here, Rodgers drops back. Looks like he's looking to the left. Again, situational football. You don't have to throw that. It's probably a good thing that you don't. But this is covered up. Garrett Wilson's running in this direction. And then he, sees it zone and he ends up sitting down here. You've got, if you want to, you've got this layered over the top if you want to. Number of things. Rodgers is feeling uncomfortable. He tries moving around. He tries making a play. And, he can't. You can't even get it checked down, which is what you need to do. And you can't see it from this angle, but he ends up fumbling the football. And the Rams take over. I think this is also the play that he injured his knee. I don't know that for sure, though. But again, like when you see, Garrett Wilson here, he gets there and sits down. Again, I think here this is 3rd and 7. You got to get to the 38-yard line. That gives you a chance right there. Hit that. And again, you have this guy underneath. But we've seen Rodgers make these layered throws over the top. You could at least try that. Anything is better than, again, it's almost like he started getting too comfortable, started thinking he was young Aaron Rodgers again. I don't know. That's me just guessing. But then, he ends up getting into a lot of trouble, doesn't check it down, and he ends up, it's bad. Bad stuff. Bad stuff. And again, this one's on Rodgers. This is not on the offensive line. Then after that, the Rams go down, score a touchdown. So now they're up 16-9. It's like the game's just been flipped on its head. Jets get the ball back. You still have a chance. You're only down a score. They get to third down here, trying to run a quick little out to Davante Adams. Adams ends up running a stick. Rodgers throws it like he's throwing an out route. And you just get this posture from Adams, Again, this is straight up, back foot, all cleats in the ground, throws the football, it's out wide. Again, when quarterbacks don't, almost no quarterback misses throws like this because because of inaccuracy. It's because the quarterback thought that he was running something else. And with so many option routes that there are nowadays, especially stuff like this where you can run a hitch or a stick or an out, and typically in these cases, and this is where I'm going to possibly defend Rodgers a bit here, this does look like straight up man coverage, which it is. Typically, if it's man and you have some sort of, option, if your option here is sit, if it's a hitch or if it's a zone, you could sit there and run a hitch, or you could run a stick here, right? If it's man, though, typically you want to run away from man coverage and run an out. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's exactly how the Jets taught this with this particular play call, but based off of the vast majority of NFL football, this right here would be an option route. And based off of the coverage, Adams probably, again, I'm guessing here, should be running an out route. Because it's man coverage, you want to run away from man coverage. And that is not a straight-up out route. When you see that stop and turn around to the outside, that is not an out route at all. And with the way Rodgers throws the ball, you can see he's definitely expecting him to run an out route because of how far out he throws the ball. And it ends up getting incomplete. You get this posture from Adams. Never good to see that. Final play that I have for you. 4th down now. And again, this is just, I again put this on Rodgers. It's situational football here. I mean, it's 4th and 4. So here we go, 4th and 4. And so it was 3rd and 4 the last place, so now it's 4th and 4. Rodgers drops back. He looks over to this side. It's covered up. Both guys are covered up over there. Then down here, you've got one of two options. You've got this guy who's wide open in between windows and zone, or we can throw this layered thing over the top to this guy who's attacking middle of the field. Which one is the higher percentage play on 4th down? That would definitely be this guy. Instead, Rodgers decides to try to throw it over the top. Defender makes a great play. Incomplete. Turn the ball over on downs. Rams go down, kick another field goal, make it a 2-score game. By that time, game's over. Again, goes to the right, doesn't like it, comes back. This initial look, you might see, oh yeah, I can layer that over the top, no problem. But when you look in this direction, you can't tell me that looking here means you can just absolutely cannot see that. It's within the same vision. I mean, you haven't thrown the ball yet. At some point, you can just decide, no, I'm bringing this down, and then I'm going to throw the fastest bullet I can to Allen Lazard. Now, maybe Rodgers doesn't want to because Lazard's dropped a couple of passes in this game, and he did. He dropped a couple of sure-handed passes. Maybe he didn't trust him. Who knows? Don't know. Can't tell you Aaron Rodgers' thoughts. But the better decision here is to throw this. And he tries to throw this thing over the top, layers the throw. It's not a bad throw. I mean, it's over the reach of the defender. It's out in front of the receiver. The defender just makes a great play. And that's why it's a lower percentage play, because even if you make a good throw, which he does, this is a good throw, the defender can still make a great play. It's the same thing as, for anybody who's a baseball fan. You can barrel a ball up and square it up and hit it 105 miles an hour. What if it goes right to somebody? Or what if you hit it into the gap and then the center fielder makes a diving catch? Still within the realm of possibility. Did everything right and still failed. Same kind of things can happen in football too, because you got 11 guys on the other side of the ball that are trying to stop you, and some of them are pretty darn good players. So, just in my opinion, bad decision here. It's 4th and 4. Take the higher percentage throw. He's already beyond the sticks, so you don't have to worry about him possibly being short. You move the chains, you keep it moving. At this point, there was 8.5 minutes to go in the game. Plenty of time left. And, so. Kind of a disappointing performance here overall. And I kind of understand the lower grades because despite there being a couple of really, really nice plays by Rodgers, obviously nothing better than the one touchdown pass to Davante Adams, which, again, best throw of the season. Doesn't mean the overall body of work was great. And this was not a great play. This is not a great game for Rodgers overall. You lose a critical fumble in a time you shouldn't when you have options to throw it. Make some poor decisions based off of whatever logic, whether it be not trusting a receiver or trying to force it to another receiver because of a personal record. Who knows? But All I know is that on the tape, there were some very questionable things that happened. So, not a great game overall. Yeah. So, be back tomorrow. It'll be Aaron Rodgers and the Jets versus the Buffalo Bills in Week 17 in Orchard Park. We'll get into that. That actually, I can tell you right now, only 23 dropbacks in that game. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, catch you guys on the flippity flip. See you later.